They kept talking about stereo instructions. This manual reads like stereo instructions. I didn't get that joke until I was in my 20s when I bought my first stereo and was reading the instructions.
Sound engineer.
Oh, I get it. I get the joke now. Like, I can't understand any of this. So that was one of those long burn jokes that took forever to get to me. Gen Wars. Welcome back to Gen Wars, the podcast between the Gen Xers and the millennials. Today, we're going to be going over the 1988 classic Beetlejuice, directed by Tim Burton and score by the infamous Danny Elfman. Before we go any further, let's say hi to our resident millennial, Steven. Say hi to the folks, Steven.
Hello. I'm here. I'm doing millennial things, being filthy and
Excellent.
degenerate.
Good. I don't feel good saying it anymore, so I'll let you do it. I'll let you.
Oh, wow. I've earned your favor. Excellent. I've done my...
As you see, we have a couple new guests joining us today. Joining the millennial team with Steven, we have our good friend Katherine. She just started her own YouTube channel called Spectacle Views. Katherine, how you doing? And give the people a little breakdown of what they're going to be seeing on your channel.
Yeah, of course. I'm doing great. Thank you guys for letting me be part of this channel. I'm so excited to discuss movies and really dig into it. As for my channel, did you really you did the Gen Z heart there?
It's just the Gen Z, like, we can get the repping in. I think it's with these fingies, though. I can't do those.
No,
fingies,
that's right. That's right.
It's these? Okay.
Sorry, distracted, millennial ADHD. My channel is a theme parks and hopefully soon to be travel channel. My fiance and I love going to theme parks. Currently, we are doing Disney, all things Disney, checking out merch, any sort of big events there. Our first vlog was about the Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party at Magic Kingdom. There is more to come soon, so check it out.
Very nice. Very nice. Very nice. Now, if Steven didn't tell you, I sent him the Larry David, like, trying to do the heart thing the other day because I was like, I don't know what to send him.
Hold on, you're ruining my gimmick. My bit. It's ruined.
Steven constantly trying to stay relevant.
Absolutely ruined.
So, in joining me on the Gen X train, my longtime friend and our good friend, Cam, who is also going to be starting up his own YouTube channel very shortly with the drop of Call of Duty Black Ops 6, and he's going to be streaming on Twitch, if I'm not correct. There's Cam, hit him with some of that, what these folks are in store for.
Yeah, Nick, thanks for having me. Happy to be here. Never Touching Grass. We're going to go on the road to Call of Duty Zombies. We're working through the Cold War game in preparation for Black Ops 6, and everything COD Zombies related, we're going to grind through it. So we're launching that next month, and look forward to seeing you out there.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I am.
Nah,
He's feeling it.
You're going to have a lot of long nights ahead of you, streaming and making videos.
Indeed.
And certainly we cannot forget to send everybody over to the Funky store, funky.store, where you can get all your nostalgia merch. Two of the people here are wearing nostalgia merch. I still need to get some of mine so we can all rep the nostalgia merch. And don't forget to go over to Funky Games and watch the playthroughs of the quintessential video games that you didn't play as a kid or as an adult. And I didn't play some of these as an adult. We just finished our Blasphemous playthrough, so come over and watch me fail upwards in that game. It's a great time. And also, make sure you like and subscribe here. This helps us, showing us that you want to be here and watch this and watch us make nonsense content like this for you guys. With all that being said, we've developed a system to rate this movie, and we've broken it down into 5 different categories. Those categories are nostalgia, production value, spirit, rewatchability, and overall thoughts. Steven, would you like to hit him with a nice summary of this movie if for some reason you're here watching us and you have not seen this movie in the last 36 years?
Yeah, I guess we'll just look at the summary over here. So I have to do this unscripted. No one ever gave me a script for this. That's fine. After Barbara and Adam Maitland, Greena, Davis, and Alec Baldwin die in a car accident, they find themselves stuck haunting their country residence, unable to leave their house when the unbearable Dietz, Catherine O'Hara, Jeffrey Jones, and teen Lydia, Winona Ryder, buy a home. The Maitlands, whoever they are, attempt to scare away without success. Their efforts attracts Beetlejuice, Michael Keaton, the rambunctious spirit who help quickly dangerous for the Maitlands and their innocent Lydia.
I want to point out that this is Gina Davis, not Gina Davis.
Gina Davis.
I think as I wrote it, deleted it, and then rewrote it again.
It's Gina.
Or however, I misspelled it. That's on me.
She spells her name different.
It's definitely spelled that way. I just pronounced it Gina, and Katherine caught on to that. That's fine.
I know that's a Steven thing. Purposely mispronouncing words to trigger people.
No. Yeah, so isn't this
From
one.
the debris we
one over here,
rise into the show.
Oh man. Okay. Well, now that we've covered that, let's start off with nostalgia. Anybody want to start off? Hands? Anyone want to start off with their nostalgia?
I want to start with this. I do, because I have like negative nostalgia bias. I am one that came in here with no viewing of this prior. This is something that's lived, like finding out that it's like super influential to like all of the 90s upbringing, that everything that I went through. My main thing is that I'm floored on how much is pulled from this film. And like how much groundwork this laid for like Tim Burton and like 90s like thumb through the jacket, like black and white edgy like millennial like it's kind of crass how much this movie has influenced a generation, and I'm actually floored on how much of it I've missed just by like not catching it.
This was Tim Burton's second film ever.
Yeah,
so
that's crazy.
Feature-length film. Yeah.
It sets up Winona Ryder as the spooky chick. Bonkers.
Yeah. I wasn't sure if you had watched. I wasn't sure if you had watched this. I was like, I'm gonna toss Steven under the bus, and I was like, I'll let. And you were like, no, I'm diving.
I've seen it for the first time a few hours ago, and
yeah, you texted me this morning. You're like, I still need to watch that.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it on.
Oh man, so we're getting like your fresh take. Like you didn't have time to sit on this.
I did manage to watch it once, and then I restarted it to like kind of like catch some other things. I can't. Everybody's so young, so maybe a little bit of just like starting off on this conversation, like how much of this is star power and how much of it is like first, like this is where they got their start. Like
this was Winona Ryder's second film.
Yeah, like she's already hitting Heathers, but I mean, like Michael Keaton had done work prior to this, and
Gung Ho.
Gung Ho. I mean, Alec Baldwin had also done work, and so had Gina Davis. Like she was in some other earlier '80s films, so it's like I don't really think there was star power that got brought to it. It like I was maybe 8 or 9 years old when this movie came out. It was just wild concept kind of a movie that like we hadn't seen before. That's what drew people to it. It was just how, bonkers everything was.
I would never, without knowing, cast Alec Baldwin as like a mousy, skinty, like I've never seen that side of him. He looked like the same kind of role I would put like a Ryan Gosling in, like, and I just had never seen that before. I did like quadruple take on like, is that Alec Baldwin right here? I saw his name up there, but I didn't know what role he was playing. I was like absolutely floored seeing that in current era for the first time.
Well, especially if
So-
you're just like used to 30 Rock and him as that business.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
He's
yeah.
well, in the attorney in whatever that where the
Glenn
kid
Gary, Glenn
was-
Ross.
That's
He
the
like
one.
he was a big business guy like out of the gate, and I think that was the late '80s when that came out. So it was kind of like the Wall Street era of films and height of business excess and stuff. So so I mean like I think he really leaned into that through his career. So when we get to 30 Rock, it's like it's more refined.
Yeah, like that's kind of been his typecasting, and to see what came before like put me on the ground. I was like absolutely like it's like, oh, that could be Milo Thatch, like that could be like like another like softer mousy, like those are the terms I would use for him in that era, and I have just never seen that from Alec Baldwin ever.
So this was like, I'm just looking briefly here. This is TV movie. He had one, if not two films. She's Having a Baby was like something that I know of before he did Beetlejuice. So he had like very little to his credentials going into this movie. Michael Keaton was the star power of this movie because he had already done Mr. Mom, Johnny Dangerously, and I just had it up and I closed it, but he had
Multiplicity?
stuff go. Oh, and Gung Ho. Gung Ho is a big one about the auto worker industry.
I actually
Detroit.
I misspoke that this is actually Winona Ryder's first big role.
She's a
Yeah.
child. That
Yeah,
is a
yeah.
child.
Yeah.
So like Others came out after this.
After, yeah, I double checked that. Yeah,
Which
I
is
feel like
also
they're
funny
probably-
'cause she played like
We gotta
almost
have Heather's on our
kind of the
list, that's a
same
good one.
person.
yeah,
They really
yeah. It kind
are.
of is a little bit.
She's been typecasted for at least 50 years or whatever it's been.
She knows.
Oh,
She's right. She's
I
right.
only recently learned how
Got
to play with lights.
Yeah.
Okay, so Steven has missed this movie in the 36 years, so hence the reason the summary was a little choppy.
Shame,
do a-
Gina.
I'll do an
Davis.
ADR voiceover for Steven.
Wow,
Yeah.
he's just gonna cut
Just-
my take. Oh my
You're
god!
gonna pull a Beetlejuice, be like, I'm Lydia of Soundbind.
I'm like, oh,
I love that band.
Oh my God.
here, I'll do it for you right now. You can just
I'm Steven of Funky Games. You should head over to Fire Hazard 508 Creations and check out all the playthings to display things. It's a great time. That is fantastic. All right, so Cam, what's your nostalgia for this movie?
My nostalgia for this movie is pretty high. I remember renting this from the video store for like a birthday party. I remember laughing so hard at him exploding in the graveyard scene, the football team, how wacky all the underworld was. That really brought me back to my childhood, just kind of like watching that. And I think because it was done so well and it was so unique in it, like it really stuck, where like those kind of images can transport you back in time as well.
Oh, absolutely.
The magazines with subscription cards in them, for all you kids out there, there used to be monthly publications of written words and pictures, and they'd put them in and they'd send them out, and then all of them would have like 3 different subscription cards in them. So it's funny watching Charles throw out the subscription cards doing while he was looking through the magazine.
Yeah, like dumping the magazine. Yeah.
Yeah. One of the other things that I thought was funny, I'm trying to look through here real quick on my notes, but I like did Beetlejuice reinforce the MSG train? Because like I feel like I never really knew what MSG was until Beetlejuice, and just like their response to MSG, like I was like, did that reinforce the negative aspect of MSG
did.
for so long?
I
It did.
100%.
I would say
absolutely.
so, yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
So
I didn't think of it that way, but yeah.
Yeah. No, just like it brought me back. And by the way, I use MSG. I love it. Uncle Roger.
Uncle Roger all the way.
You.
You're perfect nephew.
Yeah. I still don't have a
right,
rice
so-
cooker. I'm still
No?
a nephew. Yeah.
They're
Oh,
so
no.
cheap. Brother, please.
Yeah.
Nephew, please.
Nephew, please.
Sorry.
Oh man. All right, Catherine. So what's your nostalgic take on this movie?
Well, I haven't watched this movie for the first time as recently as Steven. I don't remember growing up watching it. I probably watched it for the first time as like a teenager. And just remember being like, what did I just watch? Because Beetlejuice really isn't like a huge part of the film. He doesn't show up until much later. But
Yeah,
I
almost
do.
45 minutes into the movie.
Yeah.
I looked at the clock and I'm like, where am I in this movie? And I'm like, wow, it's almost 45 minutes in until they finally start to dig him up for the
Yeah.
first time.
Exactly. I do have vague memories of the cartoon, though. Remember watching that off and on as a kid.
Afternoon. After school.
Kind of. I remember it on, but I don't remember watching it.
It's a
And I
cartoon
don't-
you
I-
should check out, Steven. You'd probably like it.
It was a
is
weekday
like
after
a
school.
Spielberg kind of like cartoon, that era?
Kind
The
of. It's pretty. I mean,
Animaniacs?
obviously, it's pretty wacky, but Lydia and Beetlejuice have like more of a like camaraderie or partnership, essentially.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
Oh, so it
different.
takes place after the movie?
Yeah, and I think
think
there's
so.
some
I can't-
different plot points in it and story that is kind of told through it. So
I was really hoping that the sequel film or remake or whatever they're doing with Beetlejuice.
it's a sequel.
It's a sequel.
Sequel.
It is a sequel. I hope that like
Yeah.
it starts with him still in line. That would be the funniest thing to me.
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
Not to spoil
Waiting
anything.
39
but-
years, yeah.
Yeah.
35 years, yeah.
The Beetlejuice show went 94 episodes for 4 seasons. So
Wow.
that's a lot
That's
more
correct.
than I ever thought it did.
I
more
mean,
than
their
Godzilla.
cartoons, they're pumping out 20 plus episodes. I'm surprised they didn't even do more. Like when you look at like those earlier 80s shows, they had like 60
Yeah, it was-
episodes a season.
It was 89 to 91. It ran for three years.
Yeah.
Very good.
I just have very vague memories of the cartoon, but I couldn't tell you like any of the story or characters besides the main two. But it's really grown on me throughout the years. I obviously love the music. Danny Elfman's iconic. The movie is incredibly, it's quotable. The humor's there. The special effects are awesome. Like it's just wacky, zany fun. I love it. So.
Okay. This was one of those movies that either if we didn't rent it at Blockbuster, it was on HBO every day, every hour of the day. It was just pop it on at any given time. I've seen this movie. I even caught myself not taking notes, and I'm like, oh, I got to write down something. And I'm like, that was great. And I'm like, yeah. If you read half my notes, it's just like, this is awesome. This is awesome. Okay, maybe get some critical eye to this, but like, as Cam said, it transports me back to watching it as an 8, 9, 10-year-old on repeat.
Yeah.
Future Nick, nice model, honk honk. Like my favorite. That like hit the floor. Like I wasn't supposed to hear that as a child. This is a
No.
PG movie. One F word you got in there.
Yep.
And that like I think as I'm rewatching this, I think this spurred on my love for miniatures and miniature models. At least the start of it, like we would go to FAO Schwartz and they used to do the like trains and the towns and stuff that you could go watch. So that in combination with this kind of spurred on that love for that, as well as Danny Elfman. And then this was on the backs of Pee-wee's Big Adventure, and Tim Burton played a little bit in the world of prosthetic makeup and having that weird sensibility. And I was a big Pee-wee's Playhouse fan I've watched pretty much every episode.
Yep.
And so coming into this, I already have that love for both Danny Elfman and Tim Burton. And, so my nostalgia rating for this movie is at a 9. I could bump it up to a 10, full 10, but I'm going to leave it at a 9 just to say that, I don't know, maybe there's a wiggle room there, but it's a high nostalgia rating for me. Katherine, what's your rating?
I gave it a 7 simply because I just didn't grow up watching this, so I don't have that huge nostalgia, but I do have that strong bias because I do love Tim Burton films so much. So I feel like a 7 is like a nice high score without having that strong nostalgia to it.
There you go. Okay. Mm-hmm. Cam, what's your nostalgia rating for this?
Yeah, I mean, like 9 for me. I don't know that I could put something in at a 10. Is probably the highest I could go into it. I mean, it did transport me back. Love seeing Bob Barker talking about spaying and neuter animals. There's a lot of fun in this movie.
Where was that in the movie?
I thought I feel like Bob Barker was on the TV. Oh no. That dog that was peeing on, it was walking around.
The one that I said I wrote down, that dog is the
Worst
devil.
dog. Worst dog ever.
Yeah.
Dog is horrible.
So yes, definitely spay and neuter your animals and keep them on a leash.
Yeah.
Take care of your animals.
So Steven, are we landing at a 0 for nostalgia since we haven't seen this movie but an hour ago?
So I would normally do that. I actually rated it an 8 because when I started putting the pieces together, a lot of my existence is related to this film, which is like even down to like day man, like all of the, like I quote that all the time. I'm like, oh my god, it's from here. Like I'm starting to understand. I'm starting to get it. Like the black and white edgy like high school upbringing, like the claymation stuff, like all of it is there. And so I have to rate it highly on nostalgia because it's just literally checking all of the boxes of what I was raised on. Like Tim Burton's really big, like Nightmare Before Christmas, all of those things. Mm-hmm. It's hard for me to dodge that and then like disrespect this film as the centerpiece of it all. Yeah. I was legitimately floored by like, oh, I feel like I've seen this film. I've like there's so much going on. Like it was kind of like a Clockwork Orange, like, oh my god, I'm seeing it for there's so much going on, but I just know what's happening. It's kind of egregious. I'm actually upset with myself for dodging this for so long. I guess the question that's swirling in my mind is, we know that your parents tried to get you to watch Twister, and in the 90s, and you dodged that one. Were they a fan of this, or no, this wasn't? I don't know if they've seen it. This is my nephew is like a huge fan of it. My wife is a big hater of it, which I find odd.
Really?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
get her on here. Let's go.
I haven't gotten to talk to her about it, like where that comes from, but
yeah, I'm very curious her take on this.
yeah, because I was like, why do you why don't you like this film? Like this is great. You should love. She really likes. There's this movie that the ghosts are in the house and they're like raising kids, but everybody's dead and they're trying to chase people out. I cannot remember the title of it at this exact moment. Future Nick put it on the screen. That's
all right. We'll see if we can find that.
Yeah, find it and put it on the screen.
yeah. But it's kind of like a new age, more thriller version of this, and she loves that film. So it was very strange to me.
Sometimes
why this doesn't
just
have
not
more
everyone's cup of tea.
she doesn't like the grossness of it, which I think is hilarious. Like, it's very poignant. It's very Has Been Hotel, for those who have seen it. Yeah.
God, I love Has Been Hotel. So
yeah, welcome millennials. We have attracted your attention at this point.
Now that you're listening, yeah.
yeah. Where they talk about the undead and the gross out and like demonic. So my first question, and I don't want to belabor this section too long, is Beetlejuice a crossroads demon? Is he a demon, or was he alive before? Like he feels more of like a true demon rather than a ghost. Do we have a lore on that?
Well,
that's a question.
I know that their caseworker said that he was like her assistant. So I assume he had, quote unquote, unalived himself to be part of that like bureaucratic part of the underworld.
Foundation for the TVA. Marvel, get some original content. Hello.
Yeah, no. So, I mean, that's just my speculation. So then he just didn't want to follow the rules. So that's why they call him a loose cannon, essentially.
You can do demon possessions, though.
Yeah.
That's where I was like, this is like a demon. And they set such a great world up without explaining things, which just makes my brain really, really happy.
I mean, they gave some, or at least I'd say that I did write that down. They kind of brought us in a little bit. They gave us the handbook. They were trying to read it and figure out where they gave us enough breadcrumbs to kind of move us through the story or move us through what they were experiencing.
It was a show don't tell, though. It wasn't like, oh, the narrator came on as like in the first chapter, like we're gonna read exactly. Like we never saw
loved the little breadcrumbs of them figuring out that they were dead. I thought that was really great, and they got to play around with some special effects.
I have kind of an answer for Steven. When I did start typing, is Beetlejuice a ghost, and it came up, or a demon? It says on the wiki that he's a ghost, but I guess in the musical, he says he's a demon.
Which came first? Just a side note. The movie.
The
okay.
movie.
Yeah.
Because they kind of postured it like a like a musical, and I see where the adaptation came from, but I wasn't sure which one came first. Especially when you're at the end and Winona Ryder's on like the
dancing. Yeah.
Yeah, like the what's it called when you lift people up at the winch? Yeah, there you go.
I didn't even I don't even remember the opening like song, like when the Geffen logo comes up on the screen, like in the very beginning.
Best.
Like I never really picked up on that because I always felt like I was watching that movie, or like I'd start it or go do something and find my way in or I'd find in the middle. So like that was a nice treat going back to start it from the beginning to hear that. But the other thing I'd say about music wise, Danny and Tim like 1-2 punched us in the 80s from the mid 80s, like into the 90s, but like just like for the rest of the 80s, like there was Pee-wee's, this, and then Batman. There was just this tone and way of telling a story and like delivering it with like this intense, just absolutely bonkers fun soundtrack that like, I don't know, like that, like I think that helps keep the nostalgia rating high.
Yeah, definitely. So one last thing I'll say about nostalgia before we kick it over to production value, since you just started bringing it there. They kept talking about stereo instructions. This manual reads like stereo instructions. I didn't get that joke until I was in my 20s when I bought my first stereo and was reading the instructions.
Sound engineer.
Oh, I get it. I get the joke now. Like I can't understand any of this. So that was one of those long burn jokes that took forever to get to me. Okay, Oops, sorry, go.
I won't let you get off this too quick, but like, have you ever gotten a piece of electronics that's like a double stapled, like at least 80-page like booklet?
Oh yeah.
Like you get them with sound bars. Like audiophiles are different people. They're built different.
Really
and then you get like the tech engineers and all that stuff, and they're like, oh, the people really need to know like like when we were talking about like microphones and all that stuff, you're like the patterns, they're there and all that
Oh,
stuff.
the
Like
cardioid pattern. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. I bet you would.
All right, so that moves us into production value. Since Cam was already talking about Tim Burton and the great Danny Elfman, well, the great Tim Burton and Danny Elfman as a combo duo. Cam, you want to speak some more on the production value of this fine film?
I mean, production value was, I mean, so top notch. Like even the intro cutscene of going over the model, like his vision and able to put that onto film, into the screen, and like you just feel like you're really a part of it. The way that those set designs come together, the separation into the underworld, just how spooky and also vibrant everything was throughout there. It really transported you to those places, and it's a phenomenal ride. I think some of the things that are hokey in it and low budget, I think are done on purpose. I believe he had his own reasons for that, but like he did a lot of the stop motion in there himself, like the fly scene, that 3D motion fly for the Zagnut. I mean, that's great. That's so awesome. And I'm sure that helped inspire you as well, you know, within those miniatures and within film, you know, to kind of like get into those types of versions. But yeah,
Definitely.
very, very high. And I think that low production value kind of like helped the spirit. And I know that's our next topic to transition to, but like, I think lower production value actually kind of like made it. I wouldn't have wanted to see like Star Wars level, you know, ILM effects in this. I like seeing, you know, the alternate zone or wherever they're going, and, you know, kooky sandworms.
Purgatory.
Is that what we're defining it as? Is that what it's supposed to be?
That's what I wrote
called
down.
They called it Saturn because he goes, "Oh, you've been to Saturn too, sandworms." Am I right?
Well, it does say that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's a big planet just floating there.
Yeah.
In the view.
Yeah.
Okay.
Isn't there some like Greek god like stuff with Saturn and death though?
I don't know. That's over
Oh,
my head.
Don't go. I'll
above-
search. Hold on, research.
Above my pay.
Future Nick,
Please hold.
tell us all of the stuff that we don't know today.
Stop invoking future Nick.
That's
All
why,
right, Catherine. What's your production value take on this?
Well, I'm gonna pretty much piggyback off of what Cam said. That really high production value. I really enjoyed the stop motion, like really bringing that. I grew up seeing The Nightmare Before Christmas first, and I was a very sensitive child, and it scared the crap out of me. But
I'm sure.
now I love it, obviously.
First time you saw the mayor, you were like, "Oh my god."
Yeah. I made my mom hide that movie. I was terrified of it. But that's besides the point. I love the stop motion in it. I love the sets and the costumes. Like the makeup was awesome. Just even the juxtaposition of the real world versus the underworld, and just like the bright, crazy colors and the costumes and the prosthetics. And it was just great. I loved it.
Well, even the juxtaposition between the old house and the new version of the house once the Maitlands moved in. It was so vibrant, and the other one was so old cottagey. This is also something that I never got as a child. Not that I didn't understand it just because I'm not in the world of design, but their little patio with one wall, I never got that. I'm like, why? And as an adult, I'm like, I guess I kind of get it, but it's very like, it's something that's out of
modern.
Yeah, exactly. And
Modern architecture. Yeah.
As a kid, I'm like, why are they putting up one wall and there's no other walls and there's no roof on that piece?
It's so Tim Burton, Edward Scissorhand, to kind of like everything is fake. Like it emphasized the fakeness of what they were doing to that home. and
But-
that's what like triggered
Yeah.
my, you know.
Also, it's something that juxtaposition I just mentioned is something that Tim Burton has repeated in other films throughout. There's Nightmare Before Christmas, The Real World versus Halloween Town, even Alice in Wonderland, The Corpse Bride, Edward Scissorhands.
The new Alice in Wonderland?
Yeah.
I forgot that was Tim Burton. Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Oh, he did do that.
Lord.
Yeah, I forgot that too.
They literally called it Underland. They said, "Oh,
Yeah.
Alice just misinterpreted as Wonderland."
The Burton verse is crazy.
Yeah.
It is pretty wild.
Yeah. Are you kicking it off for me for production value?
I am, unless you by all means say whatever you got.
Like the stop motion was very Ray Harryhausen. Like it's like the starting point or like the inspiration for a lot of stop motion going into like the Star Wars like chess scene. I think it watching it today, it's a little dated. I love claymation though. Claymation is such a staple of stop motion, and I hope there is more of a scene for it going forward within cinema. I think this is probably the best place for it. I think there's also another movie about like Mark Twain and this demon that kind of like invokes the same thing. I've only seen clips of it where they're in like the other world. There's something truly otherworldly about claymation and stop motion that I think
wild
shines
movies
here.
you're bringing up. I've
I
never
think
heard of this movie.
I think what you're.
I think I've seen that, but I feel like that's
I know
just
what
a
you're
part of
talking
another
about.
movie.
I
Just on
think
the
I know what you're
precipice
talking
of
about
the
'cause-
memory.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's
There's a
the
little kid.
It's the Adventures of Mark Twain from '85.
Yes,
Right.
my fiance
that?
said that
I-
it scared the absolute crap out of him as a kid. Like it terrified him to watch claymation for years.
I mean, the Claymation Christmas special is one of my favorite Christmas specials of all time. Or the California Raisins Claymation Christmas special. Sorry,
I love
there's a
Rankin and
much longer
Bass
title.
stuff. Like claymation is like a huge part of my childhood and nostalgia and like interest in the craft and artisanal like expression.
I mean, isn't Leica's keeping that alive too?
Yeah.
No,
For sure.
yeah, they're trying.
I mean,
to.
they sell their soul to Nike. It's fine. It's okay.
I
Anyway,
didn't know
it's
that.
all a big. It's all a big Nike commercial. They're funded by the same people that can do it.
Let's do it.
I was talking about like Kubo and the Two Strings and Coraline. that
Well,
production
exactly. Yeah,
company.
they're all tax write-offs for Nike.
Yeah.
But that's just beside
Okay.
the point.
Oh, okay.
Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
Somebody
Home.
give me-
No, let's
give
get
me
it back
in.
home.
Sorry,
But,
Steven, went off on a tangent.
With the production value, like the sets are great, like the scenes are great. It's very Tim Burton. It's almost oh shoot, what's the guy that does the symmetry and
Wes Anderson.
Wes Anderson. It has almost like as iconic as Wes Anderson can be with scenes. These reek of Tim Burton with the black and white, with the like skinny weird people, and with like the very out of place sets. I like that you brought up the patio with like the one wall that is, it's very reminiscent of like the Instagram like photo wall, or like the wedding venue photo wall, or like the like when you're at a park or something photo wall that's so ahead of its time that like watching it today, it's very unsettling and adds to that atmosphere. It's I don't think you could unintentionally capture that unsettled feeling.
I know
without-
that Tim Burton is heavily inspired by German Expressionism. So if you look that up, you're like, oh,
Yes. And Dada
yeah, on the
and all
nose.
that
Yeah.
stuff.
yeah. Yeah.
I really love the production value. There's some semblance of the time. I wasn't when Beetlejuice was like, you disappear to the husband, and there was like a weird like PNG like not cropped correctly cut out on it. That was like the only time that I wasn't like super immersed in the film.
Yeah, that was a few of those, and I don't think it was the intentionally done. It was we didn't have it was 88 and we didn't have the technology to do it. But yeah,
Right.
on the copy that I watched, you can see the like cut out outline. I was like, ew.
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah,
I
we
paused
splice
it,
a
rewound
frame
it, and I'm
over
like,
a frame.
that's not good.
Not good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
I can
it-
appreciate like exploring different ways to accomplish a scene, but like it would have been cool if they like snapped to a claymation person or like a miniature model or something when he was getting sent into I feel like there was a little bit of time saving. I think we're running into a theme of 80s films getting to the end of the movie and running out of budget. Like that's what it felt like to me, even though there was a lot of going on with the end of the movie. But that was like the first thing is like, oh, we're in the last like 15 minutes, 20 minutes of the film. I don't think I should be so unimmersed from what I'm watching with a scene like that. And even Winona Ryder like very clearly on lines pulled up. It didn't hit exactly right for me when everything else was so good. Like they put way more budget into the that they had.
Brothel?
Dante's, yeah, the
Brothel?
brothel.
Yeah,
Sorry,
Dante's.
technical
Sorry,
terms.
kids.
You just bleep
I
that
learned
out,
about
like-
it then. You're going to learn about it now.
Exactly. Well, getting that away in a PG movie is crazy. Absolutely
Yeah, there's
bonkers.
some raunchy comedy in this movie.
Yeah, there's like 3 to 6 minutes spent on that like bit. So
So I will
just-
say to your point about like cutting away to a different medium, I don't know how that would have worked for something that they did play through the whole scene, and I'm glad that they did, and didn't do that kind of a thing. Was the dinner scene where they possessed them and the shrimp cocktail grabbed their faces. If you watch the whole scene, they are the hands in the shrimp cocktail dish the whole
Yeah,
time.
they're just sitting there the whole time.
Yeah, there's no like real shrimp that all of a sudden turns into
Yeah.
these which we've seen in movies before, and you're like, wow, that looks dumb. This, they made sure to have the puppetry that was going to be used as the shrimp, and made sure it all looked right in everyone's dish until it came out at the right time. And I thought that was like one of those little details that I'm like, I know the scene, I know how it's going to play out, I know Harry Belafonte's going to play, and we're going to go through it. But watching all of the little pieces, like the woman who just is incessantly chain smoking, she's just like crushing a cigarette. I'm like, what are you doing? What is going on here?
But it feels
and
more
smoke
theatrical. It feels like true theater at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's okay
yeah,
at
yeah,
that.
True. Now,
When you forego that and then go with like the technology of the time, that's where I get disenfranchised.
Okay.
Wasn't she
I also
stressed?
said
Didn't
that-
someone drop a house on her sister or something?
I think so.
Wait, that was-
Sounds...
But wasn't that the thin one smoking? Wasn't that Otho's friend?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you
Yeah, I
saying
remember
she's
that
the-
Wizard of Oz. Like,
she's
Yeah, did like
yeah.
yeah. What I felt like Otho was digging at her, and said they dropped this house on her sister.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. I remember writing Wizard of Oz reference on my notes. Yeah.
Otho is cracked, first of all.
He comes in through windows too. I don't know if you saw
Yeah, I was
that
like,
part.
Yeah, I noticed that. I was like, dude, you can use the door.
He never uses
Like,
doors.
But why?
Clarissa explains it all with her friend that would climb through the window.
Yeah.
Which
There you go.
these two over here don't know what the hell we're talking about.
No,
Oopsies.
They were wee bebes at the time.
Whoa, hey now.
I know what Clarissa explains it all is. Sir.
Oh, okay. Well, I figured you guys were probably
I know
pretty
it's
young
made
at
of
the
cut
time, but you
paper
may
or
have watched it.
whatever.
It was on Nickelodeon, right? If I'm not
And
mistaken.
he's wearing the Nickelodeon nostalgia shirt, so
Which you can get in the
True.
Funky Store,
That is.
funky.store. Check that out for nostalgia merch. You can pick that up, funky.store.
shameless
Tee up.
plug.
That was a good tee up for the plug.
link.
I did write that
Blink,
this
blink,
movie
blink,
was
blink, blink,
perfectly
blink. Yeah.
was pretty perfectly paced. At least in my
Yeah.
opinion, where we weren't rushing through things. We got to where we needed to be at the time we needed to be there. or things weren't playing out too long. I would love, after rewatching it and taking notes, I would love this movie to be 10-15 minutes longer. Just a sprinkling more of the underworld or the dead world, or just a little
climax.
bit of something else.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what I'm feeling, but I just want that little bit more of it. I mean, we're getting a whole new movie out of it, but just rewatching, I'm like, I need that just 5 more minutes, maybe 5 more minutes. I don't know what was left on the editing room floor. I've never gone to look at any of the like deleted scenes or anything.
Yeah,
I would say that the worm consuming Beetlejuice was kind of like a, we're done with the movie, like wrap it up, like get them out of here. So like maybe 5 more minutes on the wedding, or like that tension of their revival into not ghosts, not undead ghosts, weird seance stuff. I think that was where I would plug that 5 minutes personally.
It felt like it lasted forever as a kid, though. When I finally could get to that scene, like I felt like that scene felt forever. So
yeah,
5 more minutes of that, I probably
Because you're a child and you shouldn't be watching this film.
What can I say? It's that questionable.
The 80s was a different
decision.
time, Steven.
The 80s, they were
Sure
different.
was.
You guys got problems. I see why therapy payments have gone up through the roof. And
Oh, that's because of us millennials, you know that.
no.
You could run, just not by a pool or with scissors.
Yeah.
It's pretty much your operating
fair.
instructions.
Okay, so let's get everyone's production value score here. Cam, what's your production value score for this?
8 on this one.
Okay.
It's not like watching The Matrix for the first time, but I think those choices were intentional. I don't think it came down to so much budget in some of their decisions. I think they used what they had and they put in a lot of effort where it was. And especially all that claymation. The claymation alone probably took as long as the whole movie did to shoot. So,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, for me, going 8.
Okay. All right. And mine, I'm going for a full 9 on this one, which I mean, I don't have to. We've all seen it, so we know why it's a 9, and we've discussed it here. So, Steven, what's your production value score?
I also gave it an 8. Very
Nice.
like it pressed all the buttons for me. I see the faults. If you had unlimited budget in the future, you probably would make worse mistakes. So I love the constraints that they dealt with, and just like very minute points off.
Okay. And Katherine, what's your score?
I think we're going to split down the middle here. Nick, I'm at a 9 as well. So,
Yeah.
yeah. I just love the costumes and the makeup. Just the art direction of that was just incredible.
Yeah.
So creative.
All right. So moving into, this is where I have a feeling Steven's going to have some more stuff, is the spirit of this movie. Steven, you want to kick us off with the spirit? I know you got some stuff over there.
Pun intended, the spirit was there. There's a lot of spirits like
Literally.
involved in this
Literally.
film. I think it like laid it out really nicely right at the beginning with oh my god, I hate what's her name? Jane?
Jane.
And
She is a
matching
bad
outfits with your
person.
kid.
Actually, Nick, bleep this whole thing out. She's up. Exactly. That's how I feel about her. Bad person. And that set such a great stage for like a tragedy. Like we're watching a tragedy unfold with these characters. Like they're in love. They're good people. They just want to do they just want to take a vacation, and they get bricked by an animal for no reason.
Dang dog.
That Volvo could do the fall. It's fine. That thing's built like a tank. Have you seen an 80s Volvo? It would have been fine. They drowned. It's horrible. And they're just trying to do the best what they can. And like you watch that throughout the film, that they just have stayed true throughout. So that like whole spiritual like intent with at least them is they were just trying to live their lives. They were just trying to do that, and they got that taken away from them. And they set it up with a perfect foil of Lydia, who does not appreciate what she has. She does not appreciate her parents, who are bad parents. There we go. And they teach her like the lust for life, like to live and do what you want to do, and you get it. Like it's very nice. It feels good to watch. Like what they were like, we're gonna like talking about like an appreciation for life by like showing you everything that it has, and it's just like a very nice package for me.
Katherine, you want to hit us with your thoughts on the Spirit?
I mean, obviously, it has a lot of spirit, literally, and
A lot of
and
spirits.
yeah, literally, and lots of spirits, yeah. But also, I just love the fact that it is still so prevalent in pop culture to this day. I mean, obviously, they're making a sequel after 35 years, but just every year Halloween time comes around, you go to Spirit Halloween. There's so much Beetlejuice merch. It's insane.
Yeah.
It's constantly relevant, and it's so quotable. It's like, I am strange and unusual, or if you don't let me gut out this house, I will go insane and I'll take you with me. Like, that was just like, it's such a great quote. But again, and even just like the way they got away with those raunchy ass quotes. It's like, raunchy ass jokes.
For
I
a
mean,
PG
like,
film. That is not a
PG
PG film.
Yeah.
No chance.
Right.
Yeah, this definitely would have hit the PG-13 if not our rating today.
Is the new one
Well,
13? Fact check?
Fact check? All right, Cam,
Fact
hit
check,
him with
calling
some
for a
spirit
fact
while I'm checking.
Yeah, Spirit, I definitely think it hit all of the marks in that. You know, it does resonate beyond just what the film was doing, you know, through into pop culture. I think, you know, for the world that he was setting up and the story that he was telling, it was like it hit. You know, we've anxiously been awaiting more of this story, whether it was deleted scenes or into another movie. And I think that's only attributed to, you know, them hitting on the spirit of this. We're all
I really
addicted.
hope that sequel is keeping that same spirit for sure.
So it has a PG-13 rating. So it definitely was moved up into that ranking of what it should be, or what this one would have been.
Awaken some
time.
teens.
Yes. I do love the spirit of this movie that they addressed, like, they realized they're dead. She's like, where's all the other dead people? Like, like, that's something where are they all? Oh, we're in our own little, we're stuck in this house, and we go to see the underworld, and they give us enough to get there. They give us, they get the book. They traipse into the world enough to show us this underworld, where I've seen movies where they talk about those things and then they're just left flat on the table, and I'm like, what is
Time Bandits?
I don't know if that one's up yet, so
Absolute dog movie.
Spoiler.
But yeah, so they showed us and gave us all of the necessary pieces and all of the necessary world building, or gave us at least enough of the world building to make it feel fleshed out for the most part, and kind of walked us through. I mean, they were walked through essentially the underworld and back into the Saturn or wherever the purgatory place is, like just enough that we're like, don't want to go there, let's get out.
So Saturn represents disillusion, which I think is what we were playing on in the movie, is being like disenfranchised, or like it falls into that teen, like, what is life like? It's a good choice. If that is the intent, I might be like spoon feeding them some answers there, but Saturn being part of the disillusion of reality and life is pretty spice for the purgatory.
Okay.
Insane worms.
Another name for
Star Wars,
Sandworm
isn't it?
Land is the region of the Netherworld. They call it the Netherworld, or the sort of Forbidden Zone, just based on what I'm Googling here. So I don't know. We can do some deep dive and figure more of that out. What that means. I'm sure there's a interpretive lore behind it all.
Dune.
Dune. Yeah.
They have
Dune
worms
sprinkled
being
in there.
disillusioned with your yeah.
Okay. Maybe there was a little inspiration taken from that. I gave my spirit an 8.7. Yes, random numbers, but I think
You
there
just
was
like to throw those random numbers in, Nick.
yeah, why not? Sort of sometimes I give them nice round numbers, and sometimes we hit them with the points.
You're just like,
Vile.
There was a reason why I knocked back some points, but I don't remember. I'm looking through my notes quickly, but I thought that was very well done. What was that?
It's probably because the Inferno room had AC. And I was like, I don't think that really told the intent, of the brothel. I mean, it's supposed to be hell.
But it was more of a hotel.
Well, Dante's
motel,
Inferno is not just high.
Okay.
It's just not heat. There's levels, and the
Oh,
later
that's
layers of are cold. So the AC being on in a building with scantily clad women, that's a new type of hell. Like,
Fair enough.
have you been in corporate office? Like, come on.
All right,
True.
Cam, what's your spirit value for this section?
8. I went with an 8
Okay.
on this one. No wacky numbers or things to hold it down. I also kind of go back to that hokey production value, kind of like, and I think a lot of the production value helped push that spirit through. But
for
I
sure.
like, I don't know, it was great.
Okay,
So it's an 8.
Steven?
I gave it a 9. This is Burton like doing what he wants to do, and
Yep.
this is to me it's a cut and dry story. So like there's like, we want to make this movie that makes you feel like this and does it through this like semi humorous way, but also makes you like consider things. Great. Like, you did that exact thing. You took the steps to make a film that didn't just like club me over the head like like a juvenile, but like kept me entertained, kept the story driving along. There's a lot of symbolism. There's a lot of like just like straight up like transparency to it. It's a set out to do a very specific thing and achieve that. So I give it a 9.
I think that's where the I knocked off a few points was for my wanting this much more. I think that was like the spirit's there, all of it's there, and it gets us neat. But I want that little, like, I want to peek through that door a little more. We got the curtain with the wind with the lost souls. That's the lost souls room. Don't go in there. Like,
Yeah,
just a little more. What are through the other doors? What
it
are
was
the other
great
curtains?
foreshadowing, though. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I just wanted those extra little pieces, but again, I don't think it hurt my anything for that movie. I just wanted a little more. I just wanted that. Can I get one more cookie? One more meat? Can I get one more? Maybe.
Right.
Please?
But now we have you for future cookies. So that is something that I hope to stay true to in my criticisms of cinema, is that the like true desire for wanting more is not a negative component. Like if you're telling a good story that people can walk away and like, oh, I can imagine like what will happen next. I can imagine like what stories I want to tell. That is good. That is a necessity with good cinema. If it's like they really didn't like tell me enough for me to care, that's a negative. But on the other half of that coin, where it's like enough where you are inspired and have imagination and you have like inklings of where things are going, that's good. That gets points from me.
Okay. That's a solid reasoning.
I agree with
Maybe
that.
I'm gonna bump it up. I'm gonna bump it up to a 9. There we go.
Don't you let me influence
You
you.
made
Oh man.
so
I
easily
appreciate
influenced.
that.
Here's the
biased.
combative part. I'm messing him up. I've got him in the locker room and put him up against the metal. Like, boy, change your score.
Do it.
I mean that's a solid logic. I will concede that my negative view of that is a I would say a wrong. Like, there's plenty of movies, yeah, that you're right, that make me want more and keep me. I mean, we had 3 Star Wars. Not to get into a Star Wars discussion with Steven, but there's 3 Star Wars movies that we had for our entire life, and I wanted more. And then we got other stuff. That being,
They're very
we
nice.
can move on. So I can appreciate that as a reasoning why I should give it more than less. Catherine, did we get your spirit? We did not get your spirit yet.
I gave
I?
it a 9. Yeah,
9. Okay, all right.
I gave it a 9. Michael Keaton obviously carried this movie. Apparently, he improvised a majority of his lines in this film. Just completely.
I was
like,
wondering
off the
that,
cuff.
and I was pretty sure I was pretty sure he did, based on interviews and such, that he was just winging it off the cuff. But
Yeah.
there was one that I don't think I ever caught as a kid. When he first meets them and he's trying to get them to get him out of there, and he says, they ask him, can he be scary or whatever, and he turns around and makes a jerk off motion. I was like, I didn't know what that was as a kid. I was like, okay, whatever. Like, he's just making hand gestures.
Yeah. I love the "Will I attend
Word.
Juilliard" quote. That was great.
Yeah, like he's rapid firing stuff out there. Steven's dying. I don't know why he's dying.
I totally love when he put
Side
on
quest.
Alex name costume.
Oh yeah, and he's like, "We're just the same." Yeah.
Simpatico.
I think I model most of my life through Michael Keaton's performance of Beetlejuice. Thank you for your contribution.
It wasn't anything to do with his acting, but when he switched Otho's like costume from like the red to like the like kind of gaudy blue, and he was like,
Yeah.
The leisure suit. It was a leisure
Yeah.
suit.
yeah,
Yeah. that was
Polyester
funny.
leisure suit.
his character was bonkers. Going back to Keaton's performance, it was like I feel like it set the groundwork for Robin Williams' Genie in Aladdin. Like, it's like kind of the same, like immersion breaking, like just like you don't know what he's gonna say, like kind of like I will grant you what you want, but I have my own agenda. Like it's
I
it's
think
hard
that was
for me to-
that's been Robin
No.
Williams from
Oh,
Jump.
what? Okay,
Yeah,
Like,
Robin.
I would say it's the other way around, if anything. If like I would say that Robin Williams as a comic in the 70s and being on Mork and Mindy and his stand-up, like I think his wackiness and being eccentric and unpredictable and getting into character, I think Keaton honed in on like what that was and he used it for this performance and he killed because, you know, Robin Williams probably could have killed in this role too. And I never really thought about it that way.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, like it's more of a nod to Robin Williams than anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of the
Yeah, that's a
backstory with
good point.
Robin.
Yeah.
It's just like the character of the Genie and the character of Beetlejuice, like they
But
feel the same to me.
have you like if you like even recently, like when he was on Graham Norton when he was still alive, like if you still see interviews with Robin Williams, like he's like that. He's cutting up, like he's giving you bits. He knows
Rapid
what to make
fire.
you. He's rapid fire, just like rolling with the conversation. And there are some comics that like try to be able to do that, but you know, not to his caliber. I mean, obviously he was a troubled
one of a kind.
individual, but you know, that man made me laugh in more ways than I can count. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
For
that
sure.
gives me a little bit of solace that it is vice versa from what I claim. I just assumed since Beetlejuice came out earlier that kind of inspired what the character of the genie was, but at the end of the day, not so much. Like,
The
Robin
genie is
has
just Robin Williams.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
genius is Robin Williams.
If anything, yeah, they were just like, just talk, and we'll just draw around it.
I think they just filmed hours of him in the recording booth, and they just like chopped up bits and pieces for the movie.
as they should.
For sure.
Yeah,
But,
they
I
just let
mean,
him go.
I also don't want to knock Keaton in this because like that is Keaton's personality, but I think that kind of emphasis on the rapid fire is like what kind of made Beetlejuice, because like you can see him in other movies where he's still snappy as shit. Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Blur that one out.
Yeah.
Multiplicity
rare
is a really great
performa.
Michael Keaton film, comedy one.
Yeah.
I don't know if
Wait,
anyone's seen
My
that
wife
one.
loves Multiplicity.
Multiplicity?
Yeah. It's like her
Yeah.
favorite movie.
Oh, we need
but
to, we need to watch that one. Steven would like it.
I agree.
Yeah,
I ain't seen it.
love Multiplicity.
All right.
It's a great
Well,
one.
So
let's
move
small
on
tangent.
to the. Yep. Go for
Your boy, your voice actor boy, who does all that. He does a really
He
good
does
job of.
He does a great Michael Keaton / Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't heard him do that. I'll have to go check that out.
Oh yeah. No, we were filming a TV show that we were working on, and just standing behind the scenes, he's just doing Beetlejuice to like talking to me as Beetlejuice, and then switches into conversational Arnold, and you're just like, God damn, Joe.
He'll do it. He'll
Yeah,
do it. I'm sure soon with Halloween coming up if you follow him on TikTok.
Oh, yeah. So let's move into the rewatchability before we go too far down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Cam, rewatchability. I know we've had this movie a little longer than these two. So what's your rewatchability for this?
It's true. Rewatchability is still high for me. You know, especially preparing for this to kind of review the movie in a different lens at these aspects of it, rather than just going into autopilot for the things that I think I know about the movie, and you know, letting my mind just kind of, you know, drift off. It was a lot of fun. I mean, still 30 plus years later, it holds up, and you can still learn new things about it. You can, you know, finally hear the opening music to it. You know, all of these things. You know, it's still a movie I would watch.
Yeah, I was watching for that opening scene where the transition point is from a helicopter shot into, and it's real subtle. Like they did it nicely over a lot of text, so you kind of miss the transition between the two. But very well done.
Agreed.
All right,
I was paying
Steven,
attention to.
Yeah. I think I rewatched it through and then rewound it when I was like, oh wait, we're at the model. Where was that? You know, I've never really. I mean, if it was on HBO, I couldn't rewind it when I was a kid. So now I have the.
Oh,
that
so it was
ability.
so it was a helicopter shot, and then they cut, and then they were at the model. I thought it was the model the whole time. Okay.
They did a very good job at it. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's two people, but they're not really moving in the helicopter shot. Before they get to the model, like you can see two people like off the side of the frame, but I think they're just standing around talking.
Okay.
So Katherine, rewatchability.
I'm
Where
gonna
do you
say this
stand
one's
on this.
It's pretty high. It's something I
Okay.
really enjoy watching every year, especially at the beginning of spooky season. Really getting in that right mindset for that, and it's just overall just a really fun film. Great cast, great costumes, great story, fun music. What's really not to like?
Okay. Yeah. So that lends us into Steven, since you've only seen this movie once so far. As where do you stand on the rewatchability for this?
I rate it very high. I think this is not something that you can get down the first time. There's not a ton of Halloween lower gore films. Just kind of going through that quest. as a parent of like finding like what do you watch on Halloween? That's kind
Hocus
of like
Pocus.
The
Yeah.
Exorcist.
Hocus
Oh, wait,
Pocus,
no,
Hocus Pocus 1 and 2.
Nightmare
There's,
Before
like,
Christmas.
Nightmare.
Yeah.
Not even that. There's
Halloween
still
Town.
like Halloween Town. What's the big one? Oh shoot. Regardless. Ichabod.
Oh yeah, the Headless Horseman.
Oh, the Disney.
Headless
the
Horseman.
Disney short,
Yeah. The Disney.
Ichabod Crane, Sleepy Hollow. Yeah.
Yes. Sleepy Hollow. Thank you. All of that.
Not the Tim
like
Burton
this,
Sleepy Hollow though.
Not the Tim Burton. Yeah, it's a little different. but this sets the stage for it. Like there is still a outside of horror Halloween just vibe. Like something that gives the essence of spooky or the essence of the other side that I think Tim Burton has really not touched on for a long time, maybe. That this is where he got his starting point at.
Not really. I'm trying to think of anything else. What else he's kind of dabbled in, because he went into Batman like immediately after this, right? I think it was immediately after this, or pretty close.
Yeah, it was 1989 was Batman.
Yeah, Batman was the next one, then Edward
he's-
Scissorhands, and then
He's
Batman
recently done
Returns.
Wednesday. Like that's the spooky vibe.
Sure, I haven't seen Wednesday.
You need to see Wednesday, it's
Ortega is the new Winona Ryder. Like, don't at me. Yeah.
You're not wrong.
Well, I guess if you, would you? I don't know. Would you consider like put Edward Scissorhands in that category?
Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
I would.
Frankenweenie? Oh, that was just a short. Oh.
Yeah.
Frank-
Vincent
but
Price
he
created
did-
That was
boy.
Leica. Yeah.
Batman Returns was
Frank and
definitely
Weenie
creepy.
was a half-hour short film he made in the 80s that he finally got the opportunity from Disney to make it into a stop-motion film. And
Was it Disney?
Oh, okay.
I thought it was Leica.
no, it was Disney.
Oh, it was 20.
Paranorman. I'm thinking Paranorman. That's
yeah,
my bad.
Paranorman is Leica.
So yeah, he kind of like bounced back and forth. I mean, you know, Batman, Edward Scissorhands, Batman, Ed Wood, Mars Attacks, Sleepy Hollow, Planet of the Apes. Steven, we should watch that.
We should totally watch that. Yeah, there's a lot of Planet of the Apes to go over.
Get your hands off me. Your filthy
yeah,
paws.
ape of some sorts.
But he was not the director of Nightmare Before Christmas. Just saying.
No, he just.
What was he doing on that? Oh, well,
Henry
producer.
Selick was the director. He was a producer.
Okay.
Mm.
So my rewatchability is definitely on, and with everything that you guys have said, like it's something I had to actively not turn my brain off and just watch it, and I caught myself doing it a bunch of times because this movie is fantastic and it hits all of those nostalgia points and with everything, and so it has a very high rewatchability. I put it at a 9. I originally had it at a 10, but I'm, as Cameron said, it's something's really, you gotta, that's a high mark that you have to hit that 10. So I will give it a 9 for this. Katherine, what is your score for this?
Mine was an 8.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Cam, what about you?
9 on rewatchability.
Yeah. Okay. And Steven?
Gave it a 9. It's very likely.
Nice.
There you go.
This is going to be interesting.
So you're
He
trying
might
to
watch
drag
it
you-
again in the future.
It's going to be very
yeah,
interesting
well-
since your wife does not like this movie and you're like,
Well,
let's watch
that-
Beetlejuice.
But I will like there is a 9 chance that I will watch it with my kids because I think this is a great film to kind of like start like that teen process with
Yeah.
for sure. I don't want to set them up for failure, so like maybe I won't. So that's why it's not a 10. There's not
Yeah,
a
it's a nice way
guarantee
to
I'll
like, test
rewatch
the
it.
waters with them. I mean, because it is like a little scary for.
I
Like,
don't want a
younger
moody
kids.
teenager. Please help me. You can donate to the Funky Store by buying merch to stop me from having a moody teenager.
I don't think
Not
that's
sure
going
how
to help,
that'll
but we
help
can
you
try.
with a moody teenager, but
Money
He
solves
tried.
everything. It's fine.
Fantastic. All right, let's go into overall thoughts. Cam, do you have any overall thoughts that we haven't touched upon for this?
Choreography. I really loved all of those scenes. with the shrimp as well as the ending scene.
Okay.
There was a lot of stuff that went into that with the teams, and just the way that they were dancing and moving for the shrimp scene for the whole crew that was out there. So like there's other aspects of this movie that just kind of like keep adding into what makes it such an epic film. Beyond production, there's so many elements in this that keeps us coming back.
It's an interesting thought. I didn't take the choreography into account with that. Even though there was an element of it being not so a dance move, but more fluid to some extent.
Yes.
But yeah, I didn't take that into account. Yeah, no,
But-
that's a good. That's
Also, it's like I think that scene kind of helps tie back into the spirit too a little bit, because it is Gina Davis and Alec Baldwin. It's their idea of what would be a possession or kind of kooky. So it wasn't Janet Jackson.
wasn't
on
perfect.
control.
Yeah.
It wasn't that level of choreography. It still had this like, I don't know, fun.
It was like
fun-
calypso
Yeah.
style music. Like, were they
Yeah.
listening to it because they were like supposedly on a
Well,
staycation, so they're getting in that vacation mindset?
Harry Belafonte was big at that time. Like my dad liked Harry Belafonte, so he was on in my house at points in time.
Oh, okay.
So when he showed up his music showed up in this movie, I was like, I know that thing. Like that's that's part of this.
The other thing that I didn't catch on my other 100 times watching this movie was the third Harry Belafonte song that's in this. And I didn't catch it. I don't know if anyone else did. I mean, we obviously
It's the third
know
one.
the
We got the
when
first
we're in
one.
the shrimp scene and at the end, but
The
there is
jump in the line,
another
yeah.
there is another track that's playing at the very beginning
Yeah, what was
before they go on the car ride down to the hardware store.
He's
and I
playing it in the
yeah, it's on the record player. And it's a totally different song, and I had never really caught that before. So it's like they teased us in the very beginning of with the song that we all know, and then they switched to an obscure one, and then they brought these other ones in. So you talk about rewatchability and my overall thought. It's like these are things that still keep me coming back to this movie year after year.
Yeah, definitely. Excuse me. That I did have an overall thought, and it was maybe it was the how do we get to the end of this movie for Steven? He brings them back to life. They're floating over the table. He snaps them away. Well. So why are we quoting brings them back to life?
Yeah.
Right alive.
So
He takes them away from being-
reanimated them. Is that better?
Undead, yes.
Yeah.
But
yeah, there you
snap them down
Like
from
zombies.
floating, and then to get to try to resolve things, they all of a sudden snap back into their undead form. They're
go. Ghostly form. Yeah.
they're not.
No,
Hold on.
Steven?
They either so they're wrinkled, gross. His jaw falls off, and then they climb off the table, and they're back to looking like Alec Baldwin and Gina Davis. What, you're shaking your head? No, that's how
You're
it
wrong.
happened.
You weren't paying attention. I don't know what distracted you. They
Okay.
both had trials that they had to do. One was sent onto the table, and then he had to drive the car off to reanimate as a spirit. And then she went into Saturn and ride the worm back.
Before that, they both got reanimated up onto the dinner table during the seance.
They were being revived, yes.
Correct. So they fell. They were back in real life, if you will, as
Their corpses,
gross
yes.
zombie corpses, And then they climbed off that table and were immediately back in without Corpse face. And he ran up to him, and that's when he snapped him away and sent him off to the miniature table, to the town, and she got sent off to Saturn. I'm talking that time where
that might be a production issue. I need to rewatch it. I only watched it one time. Okay, put me on trial.
It's just
shame on you, Steven.
Well, because Lydia asks to have them to help them, and so then Otho brings them back, reanimates them, floating over the table. But as soon as Beetlejuice snaps them down from that, he goes to try to say Beetlejuice. His jaw falls off. She puts it back on, and then he's like, "Get back to the ceremony!" And they come running through the scene, and they're back to normal-looking people form. Yes, there might be ghosts or whatever it is, but they're back to looking normal instead of their old, wrinkly, decrepit bodies.
I would say that this comes down to 3 letters: OTHO. And like,
Otho.
Yeah, O's twice though. There's only 3 letters in that.
He's not wrong. Blew Steven's mind.
Oh, great heavens!
But I think the whole point of Otho fudging it again, it doesn't have a real good grasp on reading in general. So, and then you add in the complexity of stereo instructions on an Afterlife book. Chances are he didn't hit the mark out of the gate like most dead people don't either. So I think Beetlejuice being what he is and being this ghost that can provide services and knows the inner workings of the system probably just like reversed whatever nonsense Otho was doing. And I think
I guess, or did he kill them again, or did he unalive them again? Like, is that what
I think he took them out of whatever spell was being cast at that kind of moment. And I say spell. No one ever said it was a spell, but it was like a seance or a chant, something that is going to, give them the power. And it did, because it anchored them back to their possessions. But I think Beetlejuice was more powerful than Otho in this, in more than one sense. We already talked about that leisure suit. Where are you going, fat boy? Or no, he called him, where are you going, round boy?
Round boy.
You round boy. That was crass. I backtracking just a wee bit, I think Otho did like reanimate the corpses poorly. And then when Beetlejuice came back, he was able to fully do it. And then when they started interfering with the marriage, he pushed them into the other realms.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That might be like when he came back. He's like, "Oh yeah, I'll help them." Boom. They're in good living bodies, but now that they're starting to betray me, I have to kill them again. Bam, bam. Thank you, ma'am. They're off into different purgatories, and that's why they're not fully reanimated when the movie ends.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't think that
Improv
they
debate.
were like I don't think they fully I didn't. It was just a matter of them being looking like decrepit zombies, wrinkly zombies, and then all of a sudden they're back to their normal forms. But that's a good explanation.
Where Beetlejuice is kind of a djinn of some sort, like full first circle, like inspiration for some kind of genie character.
He's got some soft skills.
Yeah.
He's got soft skills.
All right. So, Katherine, what's your overall thoughts score for this?
Overall thoughts, 8.5. I really do enjoy this film. Watch it every year. I think one thing we really didn't touch on too much was just like the foreshadowing. There was like little breadcrumbs of like what was going to happen throughout the film. Whenever they are going to the hardware store, and the dog crosses in front of the car. Just like a little hint of what's going to happen, what's to come. Cam mentioned the music at the beginning when they're working on the model. It's a little hint of that later on in the film. And then whenever they're in the underworld for the first time, where they see the area of the lost souls, like the exorcised souls, of like a hint of what's going to happen to them later on in the film.
Okay. Yeah. Solid.
Yeah.
Solid.
So, yeah.
Okay. Cam, what's your overall thought score on this?
Overall thought on this one, 8.5.
Okay.
You know, it has a high value for me. It's not quite the perfect movie. You are without total flaws, but it still ranks very high for me. Something I'd watch again. It's something that my friends and I quote and can laugh at, and you know, holds a special place in the old heart there. So, 8.5 for me.
All right. Steven, your overall
there's my
thoughts
heart.
score? Oh, there's your... Nice.
You got the millennial heart.
I deal
what's
only
your-
in absolutes and give it a 9.
Oh.
Ooh.
Wow.
Ooh.
Look at that.
Steven, I like this movie.
Yeah, like I was actually blown away. It's definitely a product of its time, but I can't fault it for that. It's star-studded without being like new age star-studded, so you have to give it points there. It does everything that I want to do with older special effects, as far as like scene setups and stop motion, and like I'm not left wanting at the end of the day. So I'm gonna watch it again, and I'm going to enjoy it.
Yeah. Without your wife.
No, I might like we're at the point where I might have to make her watch it and like kind of defend her points, because I don't know.
Yeah,
If she's seen
Yeah,
it
you're gonna have
recently,
to-
I mean,
I'm very curious why she doesn't like it.
I know that's gonna be a whole deep dive on its own. I'll get the cliff notes.
Gin
from
Wars.
that.
Sydney's
A very
yeah.
special, a very special,
A
John
very
Wars
special
episode.
guest.
Yeah.
So my overall thoughts were an 8.5 as well. For those small little, we have those little flaws of technique and or filming technique or green screen or whatever that is of the time. But other than that, this movie hits on all cylinders, everything. The stop motion, the claymation is absolutely fantastic, and brings me back to those times where we did have specials, whether they're mostly Christmas or holiday specials with the claymation stuff. And we don't get that anymore. So whoever's out there, please bring that back. Please.
Please. I want to enjoy life again. Oh, it's almost
okay,
like the theme or the spirit of this movie.
Well, I mean, like some of the I'm sorry to deviate real quick, but some of the
it's okay.
YouTubes that I see of like people stop motion these days are in like Legos, or sometimes they're in just like miniature type things. Like, I don't know, it's cool because I definitely see more stop motion stuff, and I think that there's software that help kind of guide that. So I think that medium is still very much alive and doing well out there. And,
Yeah, there's
people are in it.
there's a few people that are exceptionally good at it, and I can't think of his name right now.
Yeah,
but I know he did the stop motion for Pinocchio, especially the clip I see often is him there's a monkey. It's a tracking shot of a monkey running through the city.
Yeah.
But he does stuff with He-Man figures, G.I. Joe figures, and it is top notch.
Future Nick.
Future Nick, put his name down at the bottom because he's awesome, and you should definitely follow him for all your stop motion needs.
Yeah.
All right, so my final score is a 44.5%, which is an 89% for this movie. Steven, what's your overall score for this?
86%.
Ooh,
So
very nice.
close and tail.
Ooh.
Excellent. Catherine, hit us with your score.
It was 83%, so I'm a little lower than
Okay.
Steven. I'm
All
actually
right.
surprised.
I
I know, I'm
surprised.
floored.
All right, and Cam, what's yours?
85% for me.
Yeah. Very nice. All right, we're all pretty much like hitting right in the same zone.
Yep.
Good grouping, as they say. And
Right in the
Yeah.
slot.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Anything else? Anything that we missed that we need to touch on?
The football team made me laugh hysterically. I don't know why that just tickled me, but when they were with the
Juno.
representative,
Juno.
Yeah, Juno.
Yep.
yeah, and then
Your
like,
caseworker.
at the
It's like,
end,
"Coach."
I don't think we survived the bus crash. I just lost.
And she's like, yeah.
What gave you that idea?
And they kept asking where the men's room is, and she's like, "You don't need a men's room."
It was the most poking at like the limits of this world that they built, and it was so funny to me. It was great to see it as a recurring theme, where it felt that like the film wasn't taking itself too seriously, so I could actually legitimately enjoy it. It set like a great stage for me to just like, oh, it's a movie. Everybody's having fun. We're all
Right.
having fun here. We're making a film. You're watching the film. It's a great time. That's kind of what solidified it for me personally.
Kind of like the flat guy when he first meets him. He was like, "How do I look?" It was like, they weren't taking anything too seriously in that. And as a kid, I had to say like that football team was probably like the highlight of the movie for me. Like they totally made me laugh out of the gate. And then to like flip to the dark side, did you notice how Juno died and like when she was smoking, like where the smoke
Yeah, it was
was
coming
coming
out
from?
of her neck. Yeah, yeah.
Like
It was a
Full
simple
trach,
effect, but yeah.
her neck was slit, but you can see
Yeah.
that's
It
where
was
it
very
coming from.
subtle.
Yeah.
Well, that was
I wouldn't have had these
I never
accidents if I knew
The
now what I
accident
knew
joke.
then.
Yeah, yeah. If I, had a little
I never
accident,
got that
wouldn't have
joke
done
as a
this.
kid. This wasn't that was until later in life. I was like, oh, that's a thing.
Yeah.
Okay, got that joke.
Yeah.
I mean, as a 9-year-old.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you
I shouldn't
take your
know
own
that.
life, you're going to be part of this office. Yeah. So like everybody who had died, that was the reason why they're working there. One thing I'm going to bring a little parallel here, Stephen, to Time Bandits. You're going to love this.
Speaking of ending it all.
Speaking of our next video.
Internet, cut this
Coming
out.
up on Gen Wars.
Gen Y.
With how, yeah.
The combative conversation between Gen X and millennials.
Roll right into it.
But in Time Bandits, they had like the supreme being, and now it's almost like this corporate environment of how he's like testing and creating worlds, and then there's people working for him under that. Same with like the underworld, how it's like this bureaucratic, almost DMV style office where it's
Done better.
oh, well, I'm not arguing that. I'm just saying there's a parallel there.
Yeah, I agree. There's parallel. I wonder
And
how
also the
far,
TVA.
Yeah, the TVA,
Yeah,
Marvel.
TVA as well. This is true.
I wonder how far they will take it in the next movie to explore these worlds that they've created. Are they gonna stay in them and just continue telling a different story, or are we gonna go a little bit further into them? Do we know how
Who's
far?
the production house on this?
My
Let me check.
Is Burton involved?
Yes. Burton
directing it.
he's the director. He's a director too,
Okay.
and he obviously produced it.
And who's the house?
Geffen Film Company
Well, yes,
Warner
they,
Brothers.
they
and Warner
they
Brothers.
did. Yeah, Warner Brothers.
WB.
But it would
Okay, and I
be,
think
but
War-
Warner Brothers aren't they like a
Distributing.
division of Universal because they do have Beetlejuice in the studios parks?
At
Saying.
the time, no.
Who absorbed who?
Yeah.
I mean, they also have Harry Potter in the Universal parks too.
Yeah, I mean, Warner Brothers was formed in the was its very much own thing. So by the time that you get to the
The
Universal
1900s.
park and whatnot, like a lot has changed hands by that point. But when this movie was made, it was pushed under Warner Brothers.
Yeah, so I
The new
question
one is
Warner Brothers a
Universal,
lot.
is what I would.
Yeah, Universal.
it's on Warner Brothers Pictures YouTube channel,
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
so it's still Warner Brothers under the Warner Brothers banner.
Yeah, they don't want
People that
they
made
don't want
Space
us to
Jam
know
2.
that everything's owned by 3 companies. So
We're back on the other side of that.
All right, Steven, you want to
course corrected there, yeah.
course correct. Steven, you want to give us a send off with plugs and whatnot?
The plugs? Oh, yeah. You should like all of our channels. You know, like we got the new Gen Wars channel. It's just here. There's tons of content. You got Nick at Fire Hazard 508 Creations, where he makes playthings into display things. You got me at Funky Games. We're going through the Poser series. We'll be no longer video game posers because we're playing through all the quintessential video games. You have Katherine over at Spectacle Views, where she is a Disney millennial living the Disney dream, going through all things that are Disney. She's at the parks. She's seeing the stuff. You want to check that out. And you have Cam over at Never Touching Grass with the new release of Black Ops Zombies. You want to check that out. I saw the trailer recently. It's crazy. There's like a storyline. There's all those great things. Call of Duty is back on top, and you want to be there with all of the things Black Ops Zombies over at Never Touching Grass.
If you have ideas for movies you'd like us to review on here, comments, send them down there. We'd love to hear some of your suggestions, and we'll add them to the list.
Like that
but
subscribe
until
button.
next,
Yeah.
and the like and subscribe button. Thank you, Katherine. But until next time, the notification bell. And all right, well, until next time, peace.
yeah.
Bye.
Hey.
Bye.